Yo, folks, last one, I promise. I had to send this one out. I've been sitting here thinking about what we did in discipleship, and correspondingly, this class that I just finished up on Wednesday nights, and this thought has it kept coming back to my head, and it really hit me tonight as I read this passage. So, wanted to come back and give you one last thought on discipleship that I felt like we can't miss. And it's okay. We spent a lot of good time in the Sermon on the Mount. What an awesome place to be. I mean, Christ talking about how he was going to live his life and ultimately his expectations for his followers. Wonderful place to spend a lot of time. We could have spent even so much more time on it. But there's just one thing that we didn't get a chance to address, and I think it's really important. So let me read this verse. You'll know where it is. I'm not going to tell you, but it's very familiar to you, I'm sure. It starts with Jesus telling his disciples, I have been given all authority in heaven and on earth. Contemplate what he just said. Okay, if we believe this thing is true, that if we believe the Bible is accurate, that Jesus was the Son of God, that these red letters I just read came out of his mouth as a man on earth, okay? I have been given all authority in heaven and on earth. I mean, imagine hearing those words. Imagine somebody coming and telling you that. I mean, it's a joke, right? But because we know who Jesus is and ultimately what he did for us and where he came from and where he is right now, we know these words to be true, which makes Jesus the most authoritative man to ever exist. And so if he's the most authoritative man to ever walk the face of the earth, then it makes sense that whatever he says, whatever he commands, trumps any other rule or command any person could ever give. There's no dictator, ruler, king, boss, parent that could say anything, that could even touch the hem of the garment of what Christ says. He has been given all authority, not just on earth either, in heaven too. So, I mean, that just tells me, listen up, do what I say. And of course, he says that right before he gives a command. So our ears get real big, our hearts get real soft, so we hear what he says, and we put it into action. We take it to heart. Next verse. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations. He prefaces that command with claiming all authority. This is important. This is why I'm doing a video. This is why, if we're disciples, we need to hear what he says. Make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Teach these new disciples to obey all the commands I have given you. All those things we talked about in the Sermon on the Mount, all those things that are in the rest of the Gospels in the New Testament. All those things. Teach people those things. Show people those things. Teach them through words. Teach them through actions. Experience. Teach them to obey all the commands I've given you. And be sure of this. We're not alone. Because I am with you always. Even to the end of the age. So I just want us to consider the thought that kind of came on my mind. And I'm not a scholar. I may be taking things out of context. I don't know. But as I read these red letters, maybe the last thing Christ ever said, I draw the conclusion that in order to be a disciple, you have to make disciples. Which means you cannot be a disciple if you're not making disciples. That hits me real hard because I'm not making disciples. I'm not doing that. And if the most authoritative man that ever lived tells me I need to do something, I better do it. There's really no excuse. There's nothing I can say that would be a legitimate excuse for why I didn't listen to the most authoritative person ever. So I just leave you with that thought and encouragement that we need to be serious. We need to make it a priority to make disciples. It's against our natural instinct to have those kind of conversations. It's against the culture we live in to have those conversations. But we need to do it. We need to hold each other accountable. We need to learn. We need to train. We need to be super intentional. And most importantly, we need to pray that God gives us opportunities and boldness. And so do whatever it takes, wherever you're at today, wherever you feel like you need the Spirit's guidance or some help from others, do it. Go do it. Find people to encourage you, to hold you accountable. If you don't know who that could be, find me. I need people around me that are going to hold me accountable and encourage me. We've got to make disciples. We've got to make disciples. Because the guy who said, I have been given all authority in heaven and on earth, and who not only said it, but had it, tells us we need to do this. So we got to do it. There's no excuse. Love you guys. This one's it. I promise. Now I can sleep at night. Have a good one. Bye-bye.